Good morning, everyone. Yesterday I came across this YouTube video, and it was posted yesterday. And this is Ivor Cummins, and he's an Irish guy, and he does data, and he says use this video, talk about this video. So he talks about the video, saying that he thinks that fraudulent data is being used to justify the further lockdowns that we're seeing. He says that this data says that they're testing in hospitals in order to quickly ramp up the amount of hospitalizations for COVID-19. That's his conclusion. He said, if you've got another way to explain this data, then please let me know. He explains in this video when the first lockdowns start and when the peaks, like the peak and starting to drop off, happen, and that like the lockdown level 5 starts here, but it had no impact on the curve, right? Like the curve had already broken and started to fall off, and they implemented the level 5 lockdown. And so here he's saying that usually you see after cases, there's an incubation period. So after all of those cases, you'd see 2 weeks later the increase in hospitalizations, right? Because after you could test positive, then presumably it takes time to incubate and get sick, and then you see the rise a little bit later in hospitalizations, and then further, the last one is the rise in. I can't remember if it's deaths. I can't remember what this last metric is, but he said this one's supposed to be the last one, and they're all happening at the same time. They're all happening at exactly the same time. So he says basically the good explanation for this is they're testing in hospitals in order to ramp up the hospitalization numbers to justify the further lockdowns. That's his conclusion. Very interesting though. Go check it out. It's 10 minutes, totally worthwhile. I think that what's happening in Ireland is versions of it are happening everywhere. That's what I think is happening. This is I can't remember his name. Rainier. Full mic. Oh, maybe I got that right. It sounds ish okay. He's a lawyer. He's a bar qualified lawyer in Germany and in the United States. He's previously done YouTube videos where he's in a library and he's talking about bringing these cases and blah, 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 blah. He gets into, at 8 minutes in this video, he gets into asymptomatic spread. This whole video, again, worth the watch, 24 minutes. Again, watch it on double speed. Or 1.25 is a good place to start if you're looking at speeding up your watching speed. But what he's talking about here is asymptomatic spread. And he spends about 4 minutes talking about asymptomatic spread, going through the evidence of asymptomatic spread and the evidence of not asymptomatic spread. I've been talking a lot about this. The way a virus works is when it starts multiplying in your body gives an immune response. That's what creates the symptoms in your body, right? The fever, and other things, and among the virus, I guess, like causing those issues as well. The body's immune response elevates your temperature anyway. And so you can't spread a virus that's innate in your body, I guess, right? Like it's not doing anything in your body. There's no reason to be spreading it. And that's not how a virus works. Like he's like, that's just not how things work. Very interesting stuff. The whole world has gone bonkers. They're in the UK. I'm going to get to the tweet in a minute, but in the UK, they're closing down schools. They had this argument before going off for winter vacation, saying, "Oh, the schools should be closed in a circuit break lockdown." And after coming back because the numbers are so terrible, and everybody was like, "This is a terrible idea. Don't do this to the kids." Like the kids expect to go back to school, and now with a day left, they're saying, "Oh, by the way, you're going back to school. You're not going back to school now." And it's very, very interesting because I think they're going to be pushing people onto the remote learning. And here's another talk by a teacher, and I'm just getting the link here. But here's the talk by this teacher, and she's talking about what is the plan for schooling. Now, it doesn't quite extrapolate exactly out to Canada, but the premise here is they're trying to replace expensive buildings.
For Halliburton and Booz Allen.
Expensive infrastructure, expensive buildings with cheap cloud servers, right? And Google Classroom or some kind of Google education system. And it'll be like a la carte, right? Like, oh, if you want to learn phonics, here's the playlist for that. If you want to learn whatever, here's the playlist for that. And it'll be video playlist with testing and blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, they've never compared apples to apples, in my opinion. I've never seen the study, and I could be wrong. I haven't found the study. Maybe they have, but they haven't done apples to apples K-6 learning in a classroom versus online playlist learning. They haven't done this study. They're just pushing people here due to this crisis, this convenient magical virus. So have a watch of this one if you have time. This whole Planet Lockdown series, excuse me, not this one, this whole Planet Lockdown series with another woman, Truth Matters. Check them all out. Pam, I can't remember, Poodle, I think maybe, Pam Popper, I think, not Poodle, was another worthwhile interview to watch. But all of this stuff all of the dots are being connected now, right? Like the magic virus is making it possible to usher in this new age wave of education. They're talking about using, to offer access to education. They're talking about, instead of paying for university up front, you offer 20% of your wages to the university after you're employed, after they train you on something. Is that better? I don't know, right? Is that access? Is that a positive thing? It's a hedge, right? Very interesting. Okay, getting into COVID-19, because COVID-19 is a big thing. Can any MP, this is Robin Monotti, and Robin says, can any MP ask the government why early treatment kits to stop viral replication and infection are not made available cheaply and prescription free in pharmacies as they are in India? Is it lives we want to save, or is it big pharma profits? Because the two are mutually exclusive. And this is a whole thread, but isn't that interesting? Why aren't we trying to prevent virus spread? Why is the only tool we have 10 months into this a full societal lockdown with drastic and disastrous consequences for the smallest businesses, restaurants, nightclubs, human interaction, human connection, things that are necessary for humans, right? And saving us from the virus? Sure you are. Here's Ivor again, Ivor Cummins, and he says from the BNG that to theoretically prevent one severe symptom of COVID-19 case, 1,370 healthy people must be treated with 2 injections. That's 2,740 vaccination injections per one case mitigated. That's maybe $137,000 to avoid symptoms in one aged person. To theoretically prevent one COVID-19 death, we have no idea how many more. The trials were so tiny that there was no indication or no intention to look at death, life, years saved, benefit. Guessing maybe 500,000 to defer one aged person's passing. And the all-cause mortality is not nearly high enough to justify any of this, by the way. Here is a thread from Dr. Katrina Farrell, and just because they have doctor in their name, this person appears to be a doctor, but take everything with a grain of salt. It's Twitter right now, okay? So she says, just received this email canceling my second dose of the Pfizer vaccine on the basis of the UK government guidance yesterday. This means that the vaccine is not being delivered as licensed. I did not consent to receive an off-label drug with no evidence of benefit with a single dose. Here's the part of the email. Health and care staff who have received a first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine and were due to receive a second dose on or after January 5th, 2021 will be contacted to reschedule these appointments. Please do not attend your second appointment in January 2021, as you will be given a new date to attend within 12 weeks of your first appointment. This means that tens of thousands of Scottish and UK health and social care workers have rolled up their sleeves for a vaccine unlicensed at this dose schedule, for which they did not consent. This is a scandal. And she's linking Channel 4 News, BBC Scotland, Guardian. To say that I'm disappointed does not cover it. I am livid. We don't know anything about safety or effectiveness when dose given 12 weeks later. How to say Happy New Year to your exhausted NHS staff, National Healthcare staff. To lose the trust of thousands of healthcare workers mid-second wave would seem like a very stupid move, but very stupid moves is what the current UK administration specializes in. Oh, it's like she's talking about our own Canadian government. We'll get there in a minute. Here's something that I found interesting. This person's saying, great job, National Post, headline versus the first sentence. And my question is, what evidence do they have that there is no connection? Here's the headline. Israeli man reportedly dies of heart attack hours after getting COVID vaccine. And it says a 75-year-old man was lucky enough to get a COVID-19 vaccine in Israel, only to die a few hours later from a heart attack that officials believe is unrelated to the shot. I mean, he was old. I don't think it had anything to do with the shot. Do you? Nope. Okay. Let's write that down on the death certificate and move on. It's very concerning, right? Like, Here's how China is avoiding, and there's two here. I think this one's the better one. I'll read this one and then go to the other one. China are back to normal because their case definition always includes at least 2 clinical manifestations. That's the science of public health. Our definition only requires a positive result from a test, which is fundamentally flawed in multiple ways. Here's Jeff Nielsen. He says, how China ended COVID. Study shows China does not use PCR to create a fake pandemic. In order to be a case in China, you need 1, respiratory symptoms. Respiratory symptoms. You need to have symptoms. Two positive PCR tests limited to 37 cycles. 3, anything above 24 cycles is dicey. 37 cycles is very, very high. Okay. 3, successfully culture the virus from your swab. So they have to actually grow the virus from your swab in China. They have no cases, right? As far as I've seen, they've had no cases. 2 of 4. To be a case in the West, you need either cold or flu symptoms with no confirmation, or suspicion of COVID, or 1 positive PCR test run at any cycle level. Each positive PCR test is a new case, regardless if multiple tests were done on the same person. If U.S. adopted China's testing requirements, there would be no COVID pandemic here. Western COVID cases are based on extremely loose definition and are largely asymptomatic people who are not sick with respiratory infection or contagious in any way. If China adopted the loose definition used in the West for COVID, they would also have a pandemic, but they have nothing to gain by creating fake pandemic in elderly population. They don't need to profit from vaccines or testing. They already control their citizens' civil rights. So they have nothing to gain. So back to normal, everyone. Nothing to see here. Everything's fine, right? School closures I alluded earlier to UK closing schools. This is the tweet that talks about that. Before the Christmas break, they had a very public, very upset fight. Parents wanted their kids back in school, and here's what happened. School closures are proved to have disproportionate effect on working mothers and poor families. It will be women that businesses dispense with first when furloughs ends. Utterly tragic, says Bernie's tweets. And Sky News is saying all London primary schools to remain closed for start of term in government U-turn. Yeah, I mean, like, here is a whole thread talking about how there is no need for this. Here's children in schools are not the problem, and you can see in this chart the age range. I'm in the way. I'll move me. Hold on here. The age range is 0 to 4 in the bottom left, 5 to 9, 10 to 14. Black is 0. Daily cases per 100,000, right? Black is 0. So the light purple is very low. So when you get to the 15 to 19, there starts to be some color. But again, how are they doing these testing, right? Even with the flawed testing they're doing, the young children and primary grades are not affected by this. Schools do not play a crucial role in driving SARS-CoV-2 pandemic. These observations do not support school closures as a strategy to fighting the pandemic. And it doesn't seem to matter that they're not. These aren't strategies to fighting the pandemic. They don't care about that. They're just doing them anyway, right? It doesn't seem to matter if. You want case numbers to go down? Oh, we thought we were just locking down for fun, right? Toronto's been locked down for 28 days, and we're going for another 28. And wait till you hear what's next. Here's Kelly Brown saying, I believe we're now in danger of full Canada-wide hard lockdown for at least 3 months. This is appalling. COVID zero strategy unofficially supported by the Science Table rebranding as Canadian Shield. Economy society won't make it till spring. This is based on garbage analysis. This is David Feisman, and he's saying, it's time for the Canadian Shield, the only responsible approach to COVID now, and he's got a website here. Please read and amplify this document with input from Canadian medical EPI and econ leaders, and he links a bunch of people to try and amplify this. Kelly Brown says, and he's a independent investor, concentrated portfolio in high-quality companies with ethical, competent management. He's carrying on. He says, this is the thin, bankrupt economic analysis the group puts forth, which contains no actuality rigor and assumes the economy can bounce immediately to full capacity at the end of a lockdown. Utter absurdity. There's no evidence of a deadly epidemic in the community, and hospital admissions for COVID and ILIs are below expected for this time of year outside of the GTA. The thread illustrates the potential conflicts of interest and apparent inconsistent thinking on the part of D. Feisman, the above-mentioned supporter of hashtag Canadian Shield, and conflict of interest. Yeah. The analysis referenced the success in Australia with Melbourne ultra-hard damaging lockdowns as a reference point. It's bankrupt because evidence suggests COVID may have already circulated. This is systemically looking at this. Again, I don't think it matters. The experts in charge are listening to people like this, and people like this are saying, we want hard lockdowns. This is insane. I can't imagine people being tolerant of the current 28-day lockdown. I can't imagine it. I can't imagine businesses not calling their local MPs, their mayors, their local MPPs, etc. Everybody. Honestly, like, I'm done. And I'm affected in so much that the destruction of the culture is just appalling, is just unbelievable. And to watch on Twitter as people congratulate themselves on their great response to this is just sickening. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh, good job, everybody. We pay taxes for the facilities that should be open. Good job, everybody. We shut everybody down. Morons. It's so disgusting. So disgusting. But they're going to do it more. They're going to do it more. And here's Brian R. Mitchell putting forward, I don't know if he wrote it. Post Media. Who's this by? Hold on. I don't see the byline. From the editor's desk, I suppose. Time for a solutions-based approach to COVID-19. We cannot sit idly by and give government carte blanche to do as they please, because it's become increasingly clear that the governments have made many mistakes and continue to do so. They were initially slow to respond to COVID-19 in a meaningful way. They've continued to fail to adequately protect long-term care facilities. They continue to support lockdown measures that cause widespread societal damage, yet they have never produced evidence that these lockdowns accomplish anything meaningful. They've never performed a cost-benefit analysis that tell us whether the cure is in fact worse than the disease. We're privileged to live in an advanced G7 nation that is full of great minds and technological innovations, yet we somehow cannot come up with any better plan to battle COVID-19 than indefinitely shutting down society. This is unacceptable. Governments across Canada, I forgot to add me back. Governments across Canada are flailing. They're making things up as they go along and have little actual confidence in their plans. It's time to pivot in our approach from one random and erratic government edict to a solutions-based approach. What are the actual problems with the pandemic right now? There are two big ones: that hospitals are now at risk of being seriously overwhelmed, and that despite the government promises to protect the most vulnerable, retirement homes and long-term care facilities continue to suffer from serious outbreaks. I disagree with the hospitals are at risk of being seriously overwhelmed. We're at like between 77 and 85% in Guelph right now. Maybe in Toronto, if they're running at 100%, maybe, but we've run at much more than 100% in years past. So looking at just the 5-year average belays this. Like that's not an accurate assessment. That's not true, in my opinion. But anyway, I just wanted to make that clear. In my opinion, that's not true. Back to the article. What are the solutions to these problems? For a government official or hospital executive to claim it is to yell at groups of young people for skating outdoors or to shut down a small business that would only have 1 or 2 customers inside anyway is laughable and junk science. It's time for the highly paid leaders to start actually doing their jobs. If hospitals need added resources and staffing, then let's move mountains to make that happen. If we need to throw everything at LTCs to protect our elders, then hurry up and get it done. It's time for real solutions. Yeah, and currently all we've seen is lockdowns that have done nothing to stop the case numbers climbing in Toronto, done nothing to quell the deaths in long-term care, done nothing to prove that there's been really excess deaths at all, because the all-cause mortality has been the same. It's been normal. It's been right bang on where it was expected to be for 2020 if you took the last 5 years and averaged it out. And I've shown that multiple times. You can check on CanadaReport.com or .co, excuse me. And I mean, not to be trite about it, but there's only so many tabs I can do, and if I pull that tab, I'll start talking about it. So here's another outline on why lockdowns don't work, and what are we doing with only having this one option, which doesn't work. It obviously doesn't work. Jason Chapman says, why I've been so angry on Twitter. As I see ICU rooms filling up and pleas from doctors for help, I've watched leaders ignore solutions that could protect those truly at risk from COVID-19. Lockdowns are the tool of choice. They ignore so many things, including the virus isn't anywhere near as dangerous as we feared for 90% of the population. They also ignore the data that we've gathered. Lockdowns lead to excess mortality among those with dementia. They lead to higher rates of domestic abuse and suicides. We let Costco and Walmart stay open, but we close our main street shops. Amazon is allowed to hum along even though they pay crap and force people to work closely together. Restaurants and gyms adapt. They invest heavily in protective measures, and they're shuttered. Not a piece of legislation has been suggested to support workers who are still going to their jobs to give to the rest of us luxury of staying home. Not a word about 20 to 25 paid sick days. Somehow the construction industry has been immune from lockdown. Office towers, condos, retail malls, they're all still being built. Workers must be in tight places together. The truck on the way to the job site. But anyway, no COVID spread there. No COVID spread concerns there. It's almost like developers are in the pockets of politicians. PCR testing is supposedly the gold standard, yet they're not good enough to do away with 14-day quarantines. If PCR tests worked, let families get tested so they can travel and see loved ones or attend funerals. We keep talking about an iron ring around nursing homes being a good thing. It's not. Our elderly need love, support, and touch, yet we've not even considered out-of-the-box options to offer care. Instead of making long-term care homes prisons, we could pay workers huge amounts of money to live in homes for weeks and weeks. This would make homes a place of community again. This would require a huge sacrifice of staff. That's why we would need to pay handsomely. The moving of goalposts makes me sick. Every time I hear there's a light at the end of the tunnel, I roll my eyes. We've been told this for 10 months, but each time someone expresses hope, they're told about a new COVID fear, more easily spread strain, for example. I've yet to see proof of any of this. Back to the tweet thread. So many got angry at Dr. Williams when he talked about being in the green for Christmas. But how is that any different than, quote, we need to sacrifice Thanksgiving to save Christmas? Clearly, that was a lie months ago from all leaders. COVID-19 is clearly a very serious virus for the very sick and very old, but it's very much like flu for everyone else. Yes, healthy young people can get very sick or die. The same is true with seasonal flu. Flying is safe, but planes crash. Long-haul COVID is a thing, so is long-haul seasonal flu and common cold. This has been known for decades. It's not known how a virus affects our brains or sleep or toes, but it does. I know our hospitals are maxed right now. They have been for decades. Bad flu seasons have overwhelmed ICU units before. Shame on us for not caring until this year. As we age and health services continue to improve, we have a massive conversation on our hands. How should the healthcare system treat us? How long does someone at age 93 stay in an ICU unit with pneumonia? That's a massive question. A few years back, my grandmother had a massive heart surgery. She had full-blown dementia. The woman I loved was no longer the woman in front of me, but the healthcare system essentially gave her a new heart. I still don't know why. But no politician wants the debate. No one wants to talk about anything that decisive because it all comes down to the people we love. But man, we have to talk. As for school, it's still remarkable to me they remain closed in many jurisdictions. That's a tragedy. Education for all is something we've fought for centuries. It's essential to the now and future. Ontario, get them back open. No more delays. Last one, let's talk about asymptomatic spread. Early on, the fear was COVID could be spread for 10 plus days before showing symptoms. We now know that that's clearly not true. It may be possible 2 or 3 days before. That's very similar to the flu. Why aren't we celebrating this fact? We have lost so much. So many healthy people are so afraid of so many other healthy people. Virus will be around forever. Sometimes we'll get the flu shot wrong or future COVID vaccines wrong. Is this going to be the solution every time? Let that sink in. Viruses are all around us. We carry it. It sucks, but life is so much more than surviving. People keep telling me, Jay, we'll be done this soon. Just shelter in place for a bit. But I keep seeing stories suggesting worse things than COVID are coming. So I fear more fears coming from our leaders. Fear to shelter in place far longer than this spring or summer. Remember, those goalposts just keep moving. My kid is 4. Nearly 1/4 of her life has been locked down. We live in a tiny Toronto house for a community. She's starting to think staying away from people is better than being with them. That's messed. To close, yeah, I'm angry. Officials tell us to stay home, then they break those rules time after time. They use fear, not smart policy, to address this pandemic. The lockdown policy ignores 90% of the population, won't get more than a fever or chills from COVID, and it isolates those who need our love now more than ever. Stop with the shame and the fear. Yeah. People are done. This is what's here. This is what's here. Look at this. This is incredible. This is police coming into a home to remove people. This guy gets dragged out of his house and thrown in the snow and I guess arrested. I don't know what comes after this, but we'll watch a bit of this. Welcome to Communist Canada, and I'm not understating that. I don't know why there's no volume. Interesting. The version I saw had volume, but they're yelling at him like, stay out of here, stay out of here. What are you doing? They drag him out, put him on the ground, and then I don't know what the cop was going to do there, close the door or what. And this guy's saying, you're making it worse. Everybody's yelling, you're making it worse, you're making it worse. And they're yelling at the cops. They're angry at the cops. But this is incredible. Like there's a people got dragged out of their private home for having a gathering. I don't think this is a crack house. I don't think this is like a drug bust or anything like that. I don't think I'm misunderstanding what's going on here, right? Like this is, you guys are gathering. This is for your health and safety, citizen. Get in the snow in your t-shirt. Health and safety, right? Unbelievable. Criminal. All right. So talking about leaving and rules for us and not the same rules for them. Multiple people. Tracy Allard went to Hawaii. A bunch of people went to Greece or Las Vegas. There are so many politicians who've been traveling over the holidays, and they're just trying to get a cap on it. Here's Ezra Levin. He says, the sociopathic liar Tracy Allard recorded a fake Christmas message in Edmonton to cover her tracks while she secretly jetted to Hawaii. That shows she knew it was unethical, needed a cover-up. After she was caught, she deleted it, but here it is. And here's the image of the tweet. This tweet was deleted from Minister Allard's Twitter. Kenny said that Allard was out of the country on the date that she tweeted this photo. She's shown bundled up in front of a Christmas tree at the Alberta legislature, which implies she's in Canada. She was in Hawaii. So, I mean, yeah, that's not so great. One of Kenny's top aides used a loophole to return to Canada from the United Kingdom despite travel bans. So the UK has a travel ban because they have a new deadly strain of the coronavirus. No, deadly is not correct. A new strain that transmits more easily. Sure. I'd love to see the evidence. Where's the evidence? Like, all of the evidence is basically newspaper conjecture. That's it. Like, this is happening. Oh, well, maybe not so much. Right. But the whole reason is this very, very new and maybe contagious coronavirus variant is from the UK. So in order to get back to Canada, because she saw the poop hitting the fan, or she or he, I guess it's a she. I think it's a she. It doesn't matter. Flew to the US and then flew into Canada. Ha! Travel ban. What travel ban? Just costs a little bit more, right? Money means you don't have to pay attention to the rules, right? You do whatever you want. Calgary Herald's reporting Calgary MLA's Nixon Furr also traveled to US over the holidays. Nixon went to Florida, I think. Florida? The main story I think it was Florida. I could be wrong about Florida. But the other one, Furr went to Las Vegas. In a public Facebook post, Furr praised Albertans for following public health orders before confirming she had recently traveled to the U.S. to visit her sister. The province confirmed that she had traveled to Las Vegas. I've since returned and will abide by the Premier's new travel directive, Furr said. I sincerely apologize for this situation wholeheartedly. And here she is doing the same thing everybody else did, right? Is this in the rule book? If you're going to be away on Christmas, pre-record a Christmas greeting and have your staff posted on December 23rd or December 24th, right? Merry Christmas. I'm just in Las Vegas for a minute. Here's Nikki Ashton. She went to Greece, right? Nikki Ashton was in Greece. Here's the newspaper article about it. NDP MP Nikki Ashton stripped of critic role after traveling to Greece. How dare you? Here's Andrew Lawton. I don't begrudge Nikki Ashton wanting to see her grandmother, or see Greece for that matter, but she's another one who called for tighter restrictions only to hop on a plane to go somewhere those restrictions don't apply. Here she is on November 5th saying, thinking of Cross Lake, the Pass OCN, Little Grand Rapids, the Keesack Partner First Nations today as they fight COVID-19. Given the current situation, Manitoba needs tighter restrictions. This is growing concern of a major outbreak. Major outbreak so major that she'll fly to Greece. Right? I mean, planes aren't dangerous. Planes are just fine, right? But you can't get together. You can't open your business. But people can sit inches apart on a plane because masks work. Social distancing works. But you can't open your business. But she can go to Greece. Right? Ha. What a farce. Here's Jason Kenney. He says he issues a trip order after learning of vacationing officials. Really? Like, this is yesterday, January 1st. Welcome to the end of the winter break. You go on vacation, guys. It's January 1st. We got work to do. Here is Justin Trudeau. I don't know. I can't verify this. But it's not just me saying this. This is Justin circling in Bridgetown, 10:46 a.m. Hum of flight CL60 Challenger 600 series. No flight data on to and from. That would be a telltale sign right there at Ezra Levant. Touchdown in Barbados, a Challenger 600 series jet. No other flight info regarding security VIP via folks. Justin is in Barbados. Just landed for New Year's. So that's the rumor. That's the scuttlebutt around the Twitter sphere and such. And House of Commons staffer has heard it and says, can we all agree that if Justin Trudeau is indeed in Barbados, as is rumored, that Liberals call for his resignation like the Tories did Rod Phillips? That would be impressive to see. Trudeau has been confirmed at Harrington Lake, apparently. Can confirm Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is home for the holidays with his family at Harrington Lake residence. I think people were saying that this was a tweet from December 19th. So, like, the picture was from December 19th. Oh, somebody showed a picture of Sophie Trudeau, and it was December 19th. It doesn't say that he didn't land in Barbados the other day, right? Where's the proof? Where's the proof, Glenn McGregor? I'd love to know. Haydou's flights for April were reported in the past but new documents of ministerial use of government aircraft tabled in the House of Commons show it wasn't just 3 flights in April at the height of the pandemic. It was in fact 11 flights. 8 of those flights appear to be related to 4 weekend trips home in April and May, with 3 others added on through June. All but one of the flights originated in Ottawa, flew to Thunder Bay, and then flew back again, meaning that when Heydu was being dropped off, the plane flew empty back to Ottawa, and when she was being picked up to return to the capital, flew empty to Ottawa from Ottawa to Thunder Bay. Heydu took the weekend trips home on the weekends of April 3rd, 10th, 30th, and May 16th. Additional flights were taken on June 5th and 15th and 23rd. Wow. Do as I say, not as I do, right? It's fine. I mean, the minister's flying. It's not like she's going through airports and she's going through airports, right? I thought private jet means you just get to fly from wherever you want, right? I didn't really think that. She's using all of the public infrastructure to get to the airport and back to the airport and blah, 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 blah. All of that stuff. So, flying public or private is immaterial, other than it's a little bit more private and we don't find out for a few more months. But here's Corey Morgan. He says, "We all just endured the most miserable Christmas and New Year of a generation due to being locked down. You're damn right we're pissed off upon finding out the very many people who locked us down are vacationing in the tropics for the holidays." Yeah. You didn't get to go to St. Bart's this year? Oh, right. Rod Phillips resigned as Ontario Finance Minister. Too bad he chose to resign over his trip to St. Bart's and not over the terrible government lockdown and policies which have had such tragic impact on Ontario businesses and families. Yep, that's a good point. So yesterday, I think I didn't make my point that we're in a situation where in Ontario we have high debt. In the federal, we used to have low debt. Now we have high debt and like $1 trillion debt and $100 billion deficits. And there's no saving grace. There's one taxpayer, right? So the crush from federal and provincial plus extra carbon taxes. What? Like, it's very, very tone deaf. But the finance minister hole that is being filled currently and federally by Chrystia Freeland is being filled by Peter Bethlen Falvey. Oh man, that's going to be an interesting one. I mean, it's easy to say, but it doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. Anyway, Doug Ford says, "Today I asked Minister Bethlen Falvey to assume the role of Minister of Finance. Minister's knowledge and experience will ensure economic stability in the months ahead and help chart our path to long-time economic recovery." Do you think he'll end the lockdowns? No? I don't know. "I'm honored to be sworn in as Ontario's Minister of Finance and President of the Treasury Board. I remain dedicated to working hard to support families, workers, and small businesses as we tackle the COVID-19 pandemic and work towards Ontario's recovery." I wonder if anybody's telling Doug Ford, people are done with this. People are completely and utterly done with this. Jagmeet Singh is being called out for talking about defund police, etc. But this is interesting that there was a Calgary police officer killed, and that was him. So sad to hear. Andrew Harnett, rest in peace. And here are the suspects. I think this is interesting. This guy's 17 years old. Isn't he protected by the Young Offenders Act? I'm not sure I understand why they're releasing the image of the 17-year-old. Typically, that would be protected. But I guess it's first-degree murder. So first-degree murder warrants have been issued for 2 people in the death of the Calgary police officer. So there you go. Al Azan Shad Muhammad and Amir Abdulrahman, 17 and 19, both of Calgary, are sought in connection with the incident. Shame. It's a shame. I hope they're caught. Very, very sad. Very scary. Carbon taxes on farming to processing and transportation have risen 8% in 20 months alone. That number will rise to 10% in 13 weeks. The undeniable inflationary factor is apparently overlooked or suppressed when quarterly cost of living data is released. We're in real trouble. And the trouble is we're cutting off our leg because we have a sprained ankle. A sprained ankle that's getting better if only we just stop cutting our leg off, right? Like, punishing farmers, making it more expensive to produce food is not helpful. Making it more expensive to send food to the stores, not helpful. Making it more expensive to transport food anywhere, not helpful. But that's all they're doing. They're not helping anyone. It's awful. Appointment of Mike Harris to the Order of Ontario sparks anger. Nobody's surprised there. Ernie Eves was appointed as well. I didn't mind Mike Harris. I remember living through the Harris days in Ontario. Mike Harris was a direct response to the NDP, like the NDP making such a mess of things. So, I mean, what are you going to do? And they realized that indoctrinating a whole bunch of youths worked out really, really well, right? Like, and they didn't really question anything when they grew up. And you can see that by the number of NDP and Green voters in Ontario. Sorry, everyone, but it's true. I mean, you need to learn your critical thinking, and if you don't get taught to do critical thinking in high school, then you remain an NDP Green voter until the gulags, I guess. Which maybe we'll find out, right? Maybe we'll find out. Britain has left the EU. Brexit has happened, and Nigel Farage says stopping China is the next battle to fight. So hey, I mean, good. He doesn't stop fighting. Good job, Mr. Farage. Well done. I haven't actually listened to that, but I wanted to mention that Brexit happened and they went all through it. I thought this was awesome. The top 20 memes of 2020. Like that's the kind of material you don't always get. I don't know about Newsmax. I'm not sure about them, but they're showing Trump memes. The best memes of 2020, the Russian dance, the Terminator 2. I mean, some of these are wonderful, but it's very, very interesting what's going on. Here, if you haven't been watching I think it's Georgia Senate hearings, the state Senate hearings, looking at the ballot interference and with Pulitzer and the hacking of the by-election or the runoff election that was happening during the Senate meeting, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff's crazy. Yesterday, there was big news about Pence. Yesterday, there was big news about the 6th. I guess people saying what's going to happen on the 6th is going to be big. I heard Lynn Wood's gone absolutely wild on Twitter. I don't know what to make of that. I think pretty much everybody's like, I don't know. So I don't know what's going to happen. Watch the top 20 Trump memes and just wait for the 6th. Ooh, I don't like that. That's not so good. Okay, there we go. So thanks for watching, everybody. That's the end of the show. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen with the voter fraud. I don't know what's going to happen with Joe Biden. I don't know what's going to happen with the Supreme Court. Lynn Wood's going after Judge Roberts and other justices. And the whole makeup of this seems like it was kind of set, and now it seems liquid. Now it seems fluid. Now this could be disinformation. Is this whole Pence has quit? Pence is not down with the plan. Pence doesn't like the direction of things that are going. Blah blah blah. Is this one last card that nobody expected? I've been hearing rumblings that Pence was not somebody to be trusted for a long time, but I don't know. I don't know how to read this. I don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of days. But I think that the next couple of days are going to be telling. We're going to find out. And I mean, ultimately, when the 6th happens, we'll find out. And then when the 20th happens, we'll find out. So I mean, like, this is a short time horizon. There's no time left for saying, well, maybe it'll happen next year. There's no time left for that. So it's going to happen either this weekend through to next week, or it's going to happen coming up to the 20th. And if it happens coming up to the 20th, the chances of Trump being inaugurated on the 20th decrease. If nothing happens over the next couple of days, the chances of Trump pulling something out of his hat after that, they don't look good. So something's going to happen or nothing's going to happen. That's my prediction. And I think something's going to happen. I think clearly something's going to happen, because look at what's happened in the last 24 hours. Like, there's a lot of movement right now. There's so much movement. Even people paying close attention are not sure what's happening. Like, everybody's like, I don't know what to make of this. I don't know what to make of this either. This seems odd. Whoops, you know what's going on. So, okay, now that's the end of the show. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out CanadaPoly.com, check out CanadaReport.co, check out SpeakingMoistly.co, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.